The ship came out of fold space like a silver needle piercing black cloth. It was small compared to the massive vessels that floated around the celestial citadel, but it carried something far more valuable than weapons or cargo. It carried hope. Unipark stood at the observation window and watched the station grow larger. The celestial citadel was beautiful in a cold way. It was a ring of white metal and blue light that orbited a dead star. Thousands of ships moved around it, like insects around a hive. Each ship belonged to one of the 12 species that ruled this part of the galaxy. Humanity was not one of those species. Not yet. "Ambassador, we will dock in 10 minutes, said Taiho Lim. He was a tall man with broad shoulders and careful eyes. His job was to keep Yuna alive. He had done this job for 15 years across many dangerous places, but he had never felt worry like he felt now. Yuna turned from the window and smiled at him. "You look nervous, Taiho." "I'm nervous," he admitted. "These aliens have ruled the stars for 50,000 years. They see us as children." "Then we will show them that children can grow," Yuna said. She touched the small pendant around her neck. It was a gift from her daughter, given to her before she left Earth. A simple thing made of silver and blue stone. It reminded her of home. It reminded her of why she was here. Hannah Choi entered the room with a tablet in her hands. She was younger than both of them, with quick eyes and a sharp mind. Her job was to understand alien cultures and help Yuna avoid mistakes. "I have reviewed all the protocols again," she said. "The Velthri do not like direct eye contact. The Lumineth consider silence to be respectful. The Kreth value gifts of knowledge." "And what do they all think of humans?" Yuna asked. Hannah paused. "They think we are loud, aggressive, dangerous." "Dangerous," Yuna repeated. She looked back at the window. "We have had faster-than-light travel for only 30 years. They have had it for thousands. How can we be dangerous to them?" "Because we learn fast," Taiho said. "Too fast. That is what frightens them." The ship docked with a gentle vibration. Yuna straightened her formal jacket and took a deep breath. She was about to walk into a room full of beings who had conquered stars before humans had learned to make fire. She was about to ask them to see her people as equals. She was terrified, but she did not let it show. The inside of the citadel was vast and cold. The ceilings rose so high, the clouds formed near the top. The floors were made of something that looked like glass but felt like stone. Everywhere Yuna looked, she saw aliens. The Velthri were the most common. They were tall creatures with hard shells and many arms. Their eyes were black and showed no emotion. They walked in groups and spoke in clicking sounds that Yuna's translator turned into words. The Lumineth were harder to see. They were beings made of light and energy. They floated through the air like living flames, leaving trails of warmth behind them. When they spoke, their voices came from everywhere at once. There were others, too. The Kreth, with their stone bodies. The Selvani, with their long necks and sad eyes. The Mordeth, who looked almost human, but had skin like metal. Each species had its own section of the citadel. Each species had its own history, its own wars, its own victories, and each species looked at Yuna with the same expression, contempt. She walked through the halls with Taiho on her right and Hannah on her left. Guards in silver armor followed behind them. The guards were human, chosen from the best soldiers Earth had to offer. They carried no weapons. The council had forbidden it. "They are watching us," Taiho said quietly. "Let them watch," Yuna replied. "We have nothing to hide." They reached the council chamber after an hour of walking. The doors were 30 meters tall and made of black metal. Ancient symbols covered their surface. Symbols that told the story of the council's creation, its victories, its eternal rule. The doors opened without sound. The chamber inside was round and enormous. 12 platforms floated in a circle around a central dais. Each platform held the representatives of one species. At the highest platform sat the Velthri High Arbiter, a creature named Kethrel. He was old, even by Velthri standards. His shell was cracked in places and patched with gold. His eyes had seen empires rise and fall. Yuna walked to the central dais alone. This was the rule. Only the one who spoke could stand at the center. Taiho and Hannah remained at the edge of the chamber, watching. "You are the human," Cathrall said. His voice was deep and cold. The translator made his clicks into words, but it could not hide the disgust in his tone. "I'm Ambassador Una Park of the United Terran Nations," she replied. Her voice was calm and clear. "I come in peace to request recognition for my species. I come to ask for friendship and trade. I come to offer what we have learned and to learn from what you know." Silence filled the chamber. The representatives looked at each other. Some made sounds that might have been laughter. "Your species is young," said Illumineth. Its voice echoed from all directions. "You have existed for a blink of time. You have not earned a place here. You have traveled between stars," Una said. "We have built colonies on 100 worlds. We have cured diseases that once killed millions. We have learned the secrets of the atom and the mysteries of the mind. We are young, yes, but we are ready." "Ready for what?" Cathrall asked. "To sit among those who shaped the galaxy when your ancestors were living in caves. To speak as equals to beings who were ancient before your star was born." Una did not look away from his black eyes. "Ready to grow? Ready to help? Ready to be part of something larger than ourselves?" More silence. Una felt the weight of countless eyes upon her. She felt the judgment of species that had seen everything, done everything, conquered everything. She felt small, but she did not step back. "We will consider your request," Cathrall said at last. "Return tomorrow for our answer." Una bowed her head in respect. "Thank you, High Arbiter. I hope that tomorrow will mark the beginning of a new friendship between our peoples." She turned and walked back to where Taiho and Hannah waited. The doors closed behind them with a sound like thunder. "That went well," Hannah said hopefully. Taiho said nothing. He had seen the way Cathrall looked at Una. He had seen the cold calculation in those ancient eyes. Something was wrong. He could feel it in his bones, but he did not know what it was. Not yet. That night, Una stood at the window of her quarters and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 47 human colonies were waiting for news. Billions of people were hoping that she would succeed. Her daughter was looking at the same stars and thinking of her. "I will not fail you," Una whispered to the darkness. "I will bring peace." She did not know that in a chamber far below, the council was not discussing peace. They were discussing punishment. They were discussing fire. They were discussing how to teach humanity a lesson it would never forget. The decision had already been made. It was made before Una even arrived. Tomorrow would not bring friendship. Tomorrow would bring something else entirely. But Una did not know this. She went to sleep with hope in her heart. It was the last peaceful sleep she would ever have. The morning came too quickly. Una woke before the station's artificial dawn and dressed in her finest clothes. A dark blue suit with silver trim, the colors of Earth's ocean and sky. She wore her daughter's pendant close to her heart. Taiho was already waiting outside her door. He had not slept. His eyes were red and tired, but his back was straight and his hands were steady. Something in the air felt wrong to him. Something he could not name. "Ambassador," he said. "I want to request additional security." Una shook her head. "The council has rules. Only 3 guards may accompany me. We cannot show fear, Taiho. Fear would only prove what they believe about us. I have a bad feeling about this." "So do I," Una admitted. "But we came here to build trust. We must show them that we believe in their process. Even if we have doubts." Hannah joined them in the corridor. She carried no tablet today. Today was not a day for research. It was a day for answers. "The council will announce their decision in 1 hour," she said. "The broadcast will be sent to every human colony. Everyone will be watching." "Then let us give them something worth watching," Una said with a small smile. They walked through the Citadel's long halls again. The aliens they passed seemed different today. They stopped and stared. They whispered to each other. Some of them made expressions that might have been smiles, Taiho noticed. His hand moved toward where his weapon should have been. But there was no weapon. The council had taken it away. The doors of the council chamber opened once more. This time the room was different. The floating platforms were arranged differently. They formed a circle, that was tighter, closer. The representatives leaned forward in their seats. Their eyes were bright with anticipation. In the center of the room, the dais was glowing. Blue light pulsed from its surface like a heartbeat. Yuna had not seen it glow yesterday. "Something is wrong," Taiho whispered. "Stay calm," Yuna whispered back. "We must see this through." She walked to the central dais alone. Her footsteps echoed in the silent chamber. Every eye followed her movement. Every breath seemed to pause. Cathrell rose from his platform. He was wearing ceremonial robes today. Gold and red fabric that covered his shell like a shroud. His many arms were folded before him. His black eyes gleamed. "K Ambassador Unipark," he said. His voice filled the chamber. "You came to us seeking recognition. You came seeking friendship and trade. You came seeking a place among the great species of this galaxy." "I did," Yuna replied. Her voice was steady. "And I hope that you have considered our request with wisdom and fairness." "We have considered it," Cathrell said. "And we have reached a decision." Yuna waited. Her heart beat fast, but her face showed nothing. "Humanity is a threat," Cathrell continued. "Your species rises too quickly. You learn too fast. You spread like fire across the stars. If we allow you to join us, you will consume everything. You will destroy the balance that has existed for 50,000 years. "That is not true," Yuna said. "We seek only peace. We seek only silence," Cathrell commanded. His voice was thunder. "You do not speak unless permitted. This is the council. This is our law." Yuna closed her mouth. She saw Taiho move at the edge of the chamber. She saw him try to step forward. A wall of light appeared before him. An energy barrier he could not pass. "We have decided," Cathrell said, "to teach your species a lesson. A lesson that will echo through time. A lesson that will remind the galaxy of what happens to those who rise too quickly." "What lesson?" Yuna asked. Fear crept into her voice now. She could not hide it. Cathrell raised one of his arms. "The lesson of fire." The dais beneath Yuna's feet erupted. Blue light became white flame. Plasma burst from hidden vents in the floor. The heat was immediate and unbearable. 3,000 degrees of burning agony engulfed her body in an instant. Yuna screamed. It was a sound that no human should ever have to make. A sound of absolute suffering. Her skin blackened. Her clothes became ash. Her pendant melted against her chest as she fell. Taiho threw himself against the energy barrier. He beat his fists against it until his hands bled. "Yuna," he screamed. "No. Stop this. Stop." But there was no stopping. The flames burned and burned. They burned until there was nothing left. Nothing but ash and silence. The broadcast continued throughout. Every human colony watched. Every man, woman, and child saw their ambassador die. They saw her burn alive while offering peace. They heard her final screams echo across 47 star systems, and then they saw something worse. They saw the council members react. Some of them laughed. The Valtheri clicked their amusement. The Mordath made sounds of satisfaction. Even the Lumineth pulsed with colors that suggested pleasure. Cathrell looked directly at the broadcast sensors. His black eyes stared into the souls of billions. "Let this be remembered," he said. "Humanity is nothing. You will submit to the Council's will. You will accept your place as a lesser species. Or you will burn, one by one, world by world, until there is nothing left." The broadcast ended. Taiho stood frozen behind the barrier. His hands were broken and bleeding. His eyes were empty. He had failed. He had watched the woman he was sworn to protect burn alive, and he could do nothing. Hannah was on her knees. She was crying. She was shaking. She could not understand what had happened. One moment they were diplomats. The next moment they were witnesses to murder. The barrier fell. Valtheri guards approached them. "You will leave now," one of them said. "Return to your species. Tell them what you saw." "Tell them to fear us?" Taiho looked at the dais. There was nothing there now. Not even ash. The flames had consumed everything. His hands shook. His heart screamed. but his voice was quiet when he spoke. "I will tell them," he said. "I will tell them everything." The guards escorted them back to their ship. The journey was a blur of pain and grief. Hannah wept the entire way. Taiho walked in silence, his broken hands hanging at his sides. Their ship detached from the citadel. It turned toward human space. Behind them, the station continued to float around its dead star. The council resumed its business. They had delivered their message. They expected surrender, but as the ship jumped into fold space, something was happening across human space. Something the council did not expect. Billions of people had watched. Billions of people had seen their ambassador burn. Billions of people had heard her screams, seen the laughter, heard the threats. For a moment, there was silence. A silence of shock. A silence of grief. A silence of disbelief. And then the silence broke. It broke into something that the council had never faced before. Something they could not understand. Something they had foolishly awakened. Rage. Pure, absolute, unified rage. On Earth, children stopped playing. Workers stopped working. Soldiers stopped training. Everyone looked up at the sky. Everyone thought the same thought. They burned her. They laughed. They threatened to burn us all. Fists clenched. Jaws tightened. Hearts hardened. Humanity had come to the galaxy offering peace. Humanity had extended a hand in friendship. The council had answered with fire. Now, humanity would answer back. And when humanity answered, the galaxy would learn what it meant to wake a sleeping giant. They would learn that some lessons cut both ways. They would learn fear. 30 days passed. The galaxy noticed something strange. Humanity went silent. No ships left human space. No signals reached the communication networks. No trade vessels appeared at border stations. The humans simply stopped talking. They stopped moving. They stopped everything the Galactic Council celebrated. "Are broken," Cathrell announced at a grand gathering. "They have seen our power. They hide in their systems like frightened animals. Soon they will beg for mercy. Soon they will crawl to us on their knees." The other council members agreed. They drank their victory drinks. They told stories of the burning. They laughed at human weakness. They were fools. Deep inside human space. On a planet called Earth, something very different was happening. In a bunker beneath a mountain, the leaders of every human nation sat around a long table. They had set aside their differences. They had forgotten their old wars. They had one purpose now. Fleet Admiral Sun Wukong stood at the head of the table. He was an old man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He had commanded ships for 40 years. He had never lost a battle. But he had never fought a war like this. "You have all seen the recording," he said. His voice was calm but heavy. Ambassador Park went to them with open hands. She offered peace. She offered friendship. They burned her alive. They laughed. They threatened to burn us all. The leaders nodded. Some had tears in their eyes. Some had cold fury in their faces. "The question before us is simple," Sun Wu continued. "Do we submit? Do we bow our heads and accept their rule? Do we let them burn our people whenever they wish?" "No," said every voice at once. "Then we must prepare," Sun Wu said. "And we must prepare completely." The order went out that night. Full mobilization. Every shipyard. Every factory. Every resource. Everything humanity had would be turned toward one goal. The council thought humans were primitive. The council thought humans were weak. The council did not know what humans were capable of when they were truly angry. Across the colonies, shipyards that were building exploration vessels were changed overnight. Workers tore apart peaceful designs and replaced them with weapons. Engines were upgraded to military specifications. Hulls were reinforced with new armor. What would have been science ships became warships in secret laboratories on a dozen worlds. Scientists opened vaults that had been sealed for decades. Inside those vaults were weapons. Weapons that humanity had built but never used. Weapons that were considered too terrible for peacetime. Dr. Yunbi. Wang led the team that opened the largest vault on Earth's moon. She was young for such a position, but her mind was sharper than anyone's. She had designed weapons that could crack planets. She had built engines that could create small black holes. She had hoped never to use any of them. That hope died with Unipark. Begin activation of all Omega Protocol systems, she ordered. Project Prometheus. Project Black Sun? Project Final Dawn? Everything. Her assistants stared at her with fear. They knew what those projects contained. Doctor, one of them said, Project Final Dawn alone could destroy an entire star system. Are we really going to? They burned our ambassador, Yunbi said. Her voice was ice. They laughed while she screamed. Yes, we are going to use everything. The weapons came online one by one. Singularity drives that could trap enemy fleets in artificial gravity wells. Planet crackers that could shatter worlds with a single shot. And the worst of all, the hunter-killers. The hunter-killers were not ships. They were swarms. Trillions of tiny machines, each one smaller than a human finger. They were designed to pursue their targets across any distance, through any obstacle, for any length of time. Once released, they could not be stopped. They could not be recalled. They would hunt until every target was destroyed. Yunbi had designed them herself. She had hoped they would never leave their vaults now. She hoped they would reach Kethral before anything else did. While the scientists prepared their weapons, the spies revealed their secrets. Intelligence Officer Minho Beek stood before the War Council with a holographic map of Council space. We were never naive, he said. From the moment we made first contact, we have been placing operatives in their systems. We have mapped their defenses. We have studied their weaknesses. We have been preparing for this day for 30 years. The leaders stared at the map. Every council world was marked. Every defense station. Every military base. Every supply line. They think we know nothing about them, Minho continued. They are wrong. We know everything. Their shield frequencies. Their weapon ranges. Their communication codes. Everything. Sun Wu looked at the map with hard eyes. Then we can hit them all at once, yes, Minho said. 12 simultaneous strikes. Every major military installation destroyed in the first hour. By the time they realize what is happening, their ability to fight back will be gone. The plan was brutal. The plan was complete. The plan was ready. But before the attack could begin, one more thing happened. Taiho Lim arrived on Earth. His hands had been rebuilt by doctors. His body had healed, but his eyes were still empty. He had watched Una burn. He had beaten his fists bloody against a wall of light while she screamed. He would never forget. He walked into the War Council chamber without permission. Guards tried to stop him, but Sun Wu waved them away. Commander Lim, the Admiral said, we are glad you survived. Taiho did not speak at first. He looked around the room at all the leaders. He saw their anger. He saw their determination. He saw that they understood. I was supposed to protect her, he said at last. His voice was broken. I failed. She died because I could not save her. You could not have stopped them, Sun Wu said gently. The barrier, I should have found a way. Taiho's hands clenched into fists. She offered them peace. She believed in peace. She thought that if she just spoke the right words, showed them enough kindness, they would listen. He paused. His empty eyes filled with something new, something dark. She was wrong, he said. They do not understand kindness. They do not respect peace. They only understand one thing. What is that? Sun Wu asked. Taiho looked at the Admiral. Power. They understand power. They respect power. They fear power. He took a deep breath. Show them what we can do. Show them what they woke up when they killed her. Make them understand that burning Una Park was the greatest mistake any species has ever made. Sun Wu nodded slowly. That is exactly what we intend to do. Taiho straightened his back. The emptiness in his eyes was gone now. In its place was something cold and sharp. I want to be there. I want to see Kethral's face when he realizes what he has done. I want to be the one who tells him. You will be, Sun Wu promised. The preparations continued for another week. Ships gathered in hidden locations. Weapons were loaded. Soldiers trained for the battles ahead, and then, at last, the day came. Across human space, thousands of ships powered up their engines. Weapons systems came online. Soldiers said goodbye to their families. They knew some of them would not return, but they did not hesitate. They did not question. They remembered the recording. They remembered the screams. They remembered the laughter. Admiral Sun Wukong stood on the bridge of his flagship. He looked out at the fleet before him. Ships stretched across space like a river of steel and fire. All vessels, he said. This is Fleet Admiral Kong. Today we answer what was done to Ambassador Park. Today we show the galaxy that humanity will never submit. Today we teach the Council what happens when you burn those who come in peace. He paused. His voice hardened. Begin the operation. Leave nothing standing. The fleet jumped into fold space. The silence was over. The storm had begun. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. 12 locations, 12 fleets, 12 attacks, all at exactly the same moment. The Terran Armada emerged from fold space like a wave of steel and fire. They appeared around every major Council military installation at once. The timing was perfect. The precision was terrifying. 1 second, the Council's systems were quiet. The next second, they were surrounded. Commodore Guan Xio led the assault on the Velthari homeworld. She stood on the bridge of her battleship and watched the enemy defense stations come into view. There were hundreds of them, massive structures bristling with weapons, built over thousands of years, designed to stop any attack. All ships, she ordered. Target their shield generators. Fire on my command. Her fleet numbered 300 vessels. The defense network had repelled attacks 10 times that size. The Velthari commanders watching from below felt no fear. They had never lost a defensive battle. Fire, Guan said. The human weapons spoke. They were not like any weapons the Velthari had faced before. They used focused singularities, tiny black holes that lasted for only a fraction of a second. Long enough to tear through shields like paper, long enough to rip stations apart from the inside. The first wave of fire destroyed 40 defense stations. The second wave destroyed 60 more. The third wave caught the Velthari ships that tried to respond in 6 hours. The orbital defense network that had protected the Velthari homeworld for 10,000 years was reduced to debris. Burning fragments rained down through the atmosphere. The Velthari looked up at their sky and saw their pride falling in pieces. G1 watched the destruction with cold eyes. Secure the orbital space, she ordered. No ships enter or leave. Prepare the landing forces. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out. Captain Dong Yun led a smaller fleet against the Lumineth's primary energy collection arrays. The Lumineth were beings of light and energy. They fed on radiation from their home star. Their collection arrays were vast solar sails that gathered this energy and channeled it to their world. Without the arrays, the Lumineth could not reproduce. Their species would slowly die. Dong Yun destroyed every array in 3 hours. We are not here to kill you, he broadcast to the Lumineth world. We are here to remind you of what you did. We are here to show you that actions have consequences. The Lumineth screamed in fury. They sent their warships against his fleet. Dong Yun destroyed them all. His ships were faster, stronger, and armed with weapons the Lumineth had never imagined. When the battle was over, he broadcast again. Submit to human authority. Surrender your military forces. Do this, and we will rebuild your arrays. We will let your species survive. Resist, and you will fade into nothing. The Lumineth surrendered within the hour, but humanity did not stop with military targets. They did something far more effective. They occupied. Human Marines landed on every Council homeworld simultaneously. Thousands of soldiers in powered armor dropped from the sky. They did not attack cities. They did not bomb buildings. They did not hurt civilians. Instead, they took control of communications. Every screen on every Council world showed the same thing. The recording of Una Park's death. The plasma fire erupting from the dais. Her screams. Her burning. And then the council members laughing. Billions of aliens watched. Many had never seen the recording before. The council had kept it secret from their own people. They had told their citizens that the human ambassador had threatened them, that the execution was justified. Now the truth spread across the galaxy. After the recording came Admiral Kong's voice. You burned our ambassador while she begged for peace. You called us nothing. You laughed while she died. You threatened to burn our worlds and our people. Pause. The screens showed the human fleet orbiting council worlds. Ships stretched from horizon to horizon. Look upon your skies. Look upon what surrounds your worlds. Look upon what nothing has become. The recording of the council's laughter played again. Kethrel's voice echoed. Humanity is nothing. We do not ask for your surrender, Khan continued. We demand your judgment. We demand that those responsible for this crime face justice. We demand that the galaxy see what happens when innocent people are murdered for offering friendship. The broadcast ended, but the ships remained. The Marines remained. The weapons remained pointed at military targets across every council world. The council's military fought back. They tried to retake their stations. They tried to drive off the human fleets. They tried to destroy the invaders who had appeared from nowhere. They failed. Humanity did not destroy their forces. They dismantled them, ship by ship, station by station. Human vessels moved with coordination the Council had never seen. They anticipated every tactic. They countered every weapon. They seemed to know exactly what the Council would do before they did it, because they did know. 30 years of spies had given humanity every secret, every code, every weakness. The Council's great fleets, built over millennia, were taken apart in days. And through it all, Tai-Ho Lim hunted. He did not lead armies. He did not command fleets. He had a smaller mission, a personal mission. He was searching for Kethrel. The High Arbiter had fled the Citadel when the attack began. He had taken a private ship and run toward the outer reaches of Council space. He thought he could hide there. He thought the humans would never find him in the vast darkness between stars. Tai-Ho found him in 3 days. His small vessel intercepted Kethrel's ship in a dead system with no planets. Just empty space and distant stars. The Velthary's ship was fast, but Tai-Ho's was faster. The Velthary's ship was armed, but Tai-Ho's weapons cut through his shields like they were not there. He disabled the engines. He disabled the weapons. He left Kethrel floating in the darkness. Then he boarded. Kethrel was waiting in the ship's main chamber. His many arms were folded. His black eyes showed no fear. Even now, even after everything, he looked at Tai-Ho with contempt. "Human," he said. "Have you come to kill me?" Tai-Ho stopped 3 meters away. He was wearing combat armor stained with the marks of battle. His face was calm. His eyes were not. "I watched her burn," he said. "I watched you kill her while she offered you peace. I beat my hands bloody trying to reach her." He held up his hands. The scars were still there. Faint lines where the bones had broken and healed. "I asked to be the one to find you," Tai-Ho continued. "I asked Admiral Kong to give me this mission. Do you know why?" Kethrel said nothing because I needed to ask you something. Tai-Ho stepped closer. "When you gave the order to burn her, what did you feel? Did you feel powerful? Did you feel satisfied? Did you think you were teaching us a lesson?" Still, Kethrel said nothing, but something flickered in his black eyes. Something that might have been the beginning of fear. "You were right about one thing," Tai-Ho said. "You did teach us a lesson. You taught us that peace was never possible with you. You taught us that kindness was seen as weakness. You taught us that the only language you understand is force." Step back. "Humanity learned that lesson, and now we are teaching you one in return." Guards entered the chamber. They placed restraints on Kethrel's arms. The High Arbiter did not resist. There was nowhere to run. As they led him away, Tai-Ho called out one last time. Ambassador Park believed in peace. She died believing in it. I am going to make sure her death means something. I am going to make sure the galaxy never forgets what you did. Kethril looked back. For the first time, his voice held something other than contempt. What will you do to me? Taiho smiled. It was not a kind smile, something far worse than death. The ship jumped toward the Citadel, toward justice, toward the end of everything the Council had built. The Celestial Citadel looked different now. Human ships surrounded it like a shell of steel. The blue light that once pulsed through its halls was dim. The aliens who walked its corridors moved with their heads down. The pride that had filled this place for 50,000 years was gone. In the Great Council chamber, the platforms no longer floated above the floor. They had been brought down to ground level. The 12 seats where the masters of the galaxy once sat were empty. In their place stood a single human podium. The central dais was still there. The same dais where Unipark had burned. But now it was different. The plasma vents had been sealed. The surface had been polished until it shone like a mirror, and upon it stood a new structure, a statue of Unipark. Her arms were outstretched. Her face was peaceful. She was forever offering the olive branch that had been burned with her. Billions across. The galaxy watched as the trial began. Chief Justice Narration stood at the podium. She was a small woman with gray hair and steady hands. She had served justice for 40 years. She had presided over the most difficult cases in human history. But she had never faced anything like this before her. In chains of light that held them motionless stood Kethril and 16 other council members. These were the ones who had voted for Yuna's death. These were the ones who had laughed while she burned. High Arbiter Kethril of the Velthri Dominion, Nari said. Her voice filled the chamber. You are charged with the murder of Ambassador Unipark. You are charged with ordering an attack on a diplomatic representative who came in peace. You are charged with threatening genocide against the human species. Kethril stood tall in his chains. His shell was cracked. His gold patches had lost their shine. But his black eyes still held defiance. I do not recognize this court, he said. I do not recognize human authority. The Council has ruled this galaxy for 50,000 years. You are nothing but a passing storm. The Council ruled through fear, Nari replied. That rule is over. She turned to the other accused. Each of you is charged with the same crimes. The evidence has been reviewed. The recordings have been examined. Witnesses have testified. She paused. The gallery was silent. Every eye was upon her. The verdict is unanimous, she said. Guilty. All 17 of you are guilty of murder, guilty of threatening genocide, guilty of crimes against peace. Kethril made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. Then kill me. Make me a martyr. My people will rise against you. The galaxy will never accept human rule. Ari shook her head slowly. Death would be too kind. Death would make you a symbol. We will not give you that gift. She pressed a control on the podium. Behind her, screens lit up with images. Complex machines. Neural interfaces. Digital systems. You will not die, she said. None of you will die. Instead, you will live forever. The accused stared at her. Confusion replaced defiance in their eyes. Your consciousness will be uploaded to isolated digital systems, Nari explained. You will exist in complete solitary awareness. No contact with any other mind. No sound, no touch, no companionship. Just you and your thoughts for eternity.
Athril's defiance cracked.
His arms trembled in their chains. That is impossible. You cannot, we can, Nari said. Our scientists have confirmed it. Your minds will be preserved in perfect clarity. You will be conscious of every second that passes. And while you exist in that silence, you will watch something. Over and over without end. The screens changed. They showed the recording of Yuna's death, her screams, her burning. And then they showed something else. They showed humanity rising. They showed the human fleet. They showed the Council's defeat. You will watch what you did, Nari said. And you will watch what happened because of it. Forever. For the first time, real fear showed in Kethril's eyes. True, absolute fear. Death he could accept. Death was an ending. This was something far worse. "Please," he said. The word seemed to cause him pain. "Please, no. Execute me. Burn me as we burned her. But not this." Nari looked at him without pity. "You showed no mercy to Ambassador Park. You laughed at her pain. Now you will understand what true suffering means." The guards moved forward. The condemned were taken away. Their screams echoed through the corridor as they realized their fate was sealed. Taeho watched from the gallery. He had expected to feel satisfaction. He had expected to feel peace. Instead, he felt empty. Hannah sat beside him. She had not spoken much since returning to human space. The things she had seen had changed her. But now she placed a hand on Taeho's arm. "Is it over?" she asked. Taeho looked at the statue of Yuna, her arms stretched out, her face serene, offering peace to those who had burned her. "Oh no," he said. "It is just beginning." The trial ended. The guilty were taken to their eternal prisons, and then the real work began. The Galactic Council was dissolved. Its laws were erased. Its power was broken. In its place, humanity offered something new. They called it the Terran Covenant. Admiral Sun Wukong stood before the species of the galaxy and explained what it meant. "We did not come here to conquer. We did not come here to rule. We came here because you gave us no choice." Gestured to the watching aliens. Velthri, Lumineth, Kreth, Selvani, Mordith, all. The species that had once looked down on humanity with contempt. The old council was built on fear and domination. The Terran Covenant will be different. Any species that wishes to join may do so freely. Any species that wishes to leave may do so without punishment. There will be no forced membership. No threats. No burning of ambassadors. He paused. His voice softened. Ambassador Yuna Park came to you with a simple message. She offered peace, cooperation, and mutual respect. You answered with fire. Now we offer the same message again. We offer what she offered. We offer what she died for. He looked at the aliens who watched him. Some with fear. Some with hatred. Some with something that might have been hope. Peace is still possible. The hand that Ambassador Park extended is still extended. But understand this. We will never forget what was done. We will never allow it to happen again. If you choose peace, you will find us to be the greatest friends you have ever known. If you choose war, you will find us to be the most terrifying enemy the galaxy has ever seen. He stepped back from the podium. The choice is yours. One by one, species began to join. The Selvani were first. They had never wanted war with humanity. They had been afraid of the Velthri. Now that fear was gone. Others followed. The Kreth, the Mordeth, even some Lumineth. Despite what had been done to their arrays, humanity rebuilt what it had destroyed. The energy arrays were restored. Defense networks were repaired. Trade routes were reopened. Where there had been war, there was now construction. Years passed. The Terran Covenant grew. It became what the Council had never been, a true alliance of equals. Species that had once dominated others learned to share power. Species that had once been dominated learned to speak without fear. And in the great hall of the Citadel, the statue of Yuna Park stood watching. Visitors came from across the galaxy to see it. They read the inscription carved into its base, written in every known language. She offered peace. They chose fire. We brought dawn. Taeho visited often. He would stand before the statue for hours, saying nothing. Sometimes Hannah joined him. Sometimes he was alone. One day, years after the war ended, a young Velthri approached him. She was small, barely an adult by her species standards. She looked up at the statue with wide eyes.